Hey, good morning, beautiful people, and welcome to Friday the 13th. Kind of crazy. Obviously, those who are superstitious may want to, I don't know, have a bit of fun with today. So definitely, like, Friday the 13th is always a fun day for me. Hey, Chris, great to have you on. And so today, wanting to definitely have a chat about how to deal with big changes in our life. And I think, we all go through big changes at certain times in our life. Hey, Em, great to have you on. We all go through big changes in our lives, and it can be quite unnerving and very unsettling at the time. One of the reasons for this is that our mind craves certainty. Our mind wants to know what's going to go on, how it's going to be, and that we're going to be safe and secure, that we're going to be comfortable, that everything's going to be okay. And so when things seem to be changing in our external world, or even, with our health, or perhaps it's with a job, or whether it's in a relationship, or any other life circumstances, perhaps a loved one's got ill, or perhaps even you've lost a loved one, and all of those experiences can feel so challenging at that time because it produces a feeling of uncertainty. There's often deep feelings of loss or grief, or just fear around what's actually going to happen. And in my experience, I really do feel, change provides an opportunity for growth. And I know that sounds so cliche, and if you're in the midst of huge challenges at the moment, or huge big changes, perhaps you may feel a little bit triggered by that statement, and I don't want it to sound cliche. I really in all of my experiences of huge big changes in my own life, when I look back, and sometimes it's hard to do that in the actual time of when everything's happening, because there's so many different emotions kind of going on, and we can often feel overwhelmed with the responsibility that we either need to take, or the changes that are actually happening, and what to actually do about those. So I'll address those in a minute, but in my experience, whenever I've looked back over perhaps big life challenges or big life changes, or experiences which were very, very difficult at the time to overcome, it's always given me an inner strength, or there's been some value from the experience. And I can even say that with my mum passing, which was a very difficult and very emotional time for me. And when I look back at that now, I see how much I've actually grown. And without that experience, not that I'd ever wish for my mum to pass, or I'd have her back in a heartbeat, but without that experience, there were so many things that I wouldn't be today in terms of the person that I am. And it really taught me how to grow up. And even though I was 32 when she passed, I still think there's that level of independence, or that level of dependence that we sometimes can still have. I certainly did with my mum, in terms of wanting to get that love from her, and it's not that that's not available anymore. I still feel very connected to her, obviously in a very different way. Hey, Crystal, great to have you on, babe. So say hi if you're on. I always love these to be kind of like interactive, and lots of love, if it's resonating, and all of those things. So definitely, change can be huge. And like I was saying, being able to look back with hindsight, is a great thing to be able to see, what those challenges brought us, or who they helped us become in the actual day as well. Thank you, Crystal. And so as we're actually moving through these big changes in our life, one of the first questions that we can actually ask ourselves, because if we can do it with hindsight, why not do it sooner rather than later? Why not actually get ourselves into a more resourceful state to be able to actually deal with the changes? And hey, Em, great to have you on, darling. So one of the things definitely can be asking quality questions. Quite often, we're asking ourselves, oh my God, what am I going to do? I don't know how to cope with this. I don't know if I can handle it. So all of that puts us into more and more doubt, when all the mind wants is certainty, knowing full well that it can cope with it, it can handle anything that it's actually presented with. And that will not be found in the external world. And it's one of the issues with trying to get certainty, or trying to feel safe and secure via, having enough money in the bank, via having a great job, via having a great relationship, via having a great house. And all of those things are wonderful, and I definitely encourage you to have those things by all means. But when our certainty depends on those things, that really can be quite debilitating in the face of change or in the midst of change. So when we actually can get our certainty from internal and actually, saying things that are very resourceful to ourselves, like, I know that I've always been able to handle anything that life has thrown me, like, up to this point, so I know that I've got the skills and I've got the resources, and if I haven't got the resources, I know how to get the resources that I actually need in order to deal with these life changes. A great quality question to actually ask ourselves is, what is great about this situation? And initially you might be like, nothing is great about this. This is horrible. This is the worst thing that's ever happened to me. An even softer way of asking that might be, well, what could be great about this? And with the, sorry, just got a message too. So with the what could be great about this, it really does lend the mind to actually start to explore, well, what could I learn from this situation, or how could I grow from this situation, or perhaps what new opportunities may flow from this situation. So if you've lost your job, maybe it's you didn't like the job anyway, or you were looking for somewhere that actually was more aligned in terms of the values that you want to be living and expressing. Hey April, great to have you on. Or it could be, you wanted to be able to dive into your own business, or like it could be multiple opportunities that are now actually available to you because of that event, because of that circumstance. And so by asking ourselves what could be great about this, it really does open up so many more ideas around, well, looking at it in a completely different way and changing our perspective on the event or on the circumstance. And like I said before, grief is obviously a very, very tough one to do that with. I wasn't able to do that until like 2 years after my mum passed. So if you're just fresh into perhaps a big change or a big challenge, being soft and kind, or gentle and kind with ourselves is imperative. Like really loving on ourselves, taking great care of ourselves, but also using that situation almost as a blank canvas in what do I now choose to create for myself moving forward. So the first question is, what could be great, or what is great about this situation? And the second one is, how can I now use this as an opportunity? And what do I now want instead? So it's really like literally clearing the canvas and starting with a fresh slate, and really starting to carve out, well, if I really could design my life, or if I really could have my life exactly the way that I wanted moving forward, what would that be? And then the fourth question after that is, why would I choose that? Why do I want that? Why is that really, really important to me? And when we're heavily connected with our why, it will get us out of our head. It'll get us out of that uncertainty and take us back into our heart, into our soul, into tuning into what's right for us, and being able to make much more conducive decisions and take action then on what actually is going to be really, really resourceful for us moving forward. So I hope that's been really helpful, just in terms of, hey Kim, great to have you on, babe. In terms of how to actually deal with some of life's biggest challenges. But it really is getting ourselves back into a resourceful state. It's knowing that no amount of money in the bank, or there's so many people that are like incredibly wealthy but still have a fear that they're going to lose that money. So no amount of money actually really gives you a sense of certainty. Certainty comes from within, and the more that you trust in yourself and your ability to be able to take that in and be able to handle anything. And by that, it's often it starts by taking really small steps forward. And it was certainly what I did when I was going through massive life changes back in 2008. It felt like my whole world had literally shattered and fallen apart. Everything I knew as it was no longer, and I really did need to rebuild my life in a significant way. And so at the time, I just took little baby steps, and those little baby steps built a belief inside myself where pretty soon, I felt very, very rock solid in no matter what kind of comes my way, I will be able to deal with what's actually going on. And I think a huge part of that is actually being able to be okay with your emotions, feel your emotions, express your emotions, be with your emotions at the time, knowing full well that when we're really, really present with them, they literally can pass as fast as 2 to 5 minutes. When we're resisting emotions, that takes so much energy and resisting our circumstances rather than actually going with it. It's you know, the old cliche of swimming upstream. We're in struggle. We're struggling against the reality of what is. And I think that's what causes so much pain in overcoming changes, because there's so much a part of ourselves that's actually resisting the change, that doesn't want the change, that hates the change or is angry about the change. And instead of actually just accepting and being okay with the emotions that we're actually experiencing about the change, we then say, you know, well, I shouldn't be angry, or it's wrong to be angry, or it's not resourceful to be angry, and hey Tony, great to have you on, and really push against then, you know, the emotions that we're actually experiencing, rather than allow ourselves to move through perhaps the grief process, or move through, I know at one point, I just felt like I was a vault of tears, and it just, the more I cried, and it just felt like it was never going to end. And I felt very scared at the time when I was first going through that. And so since going through that, obviously, you know, the tears eventually did end up stopping, and it was so healing for me on so many levels, just to be with wherever I was at. And I learnt to trust my emotions as well, that it literally can be like a cloud passing by. And I don't mean that to sound trite, or that, you know, what you're feeling is not important or anything like that, but we become very attached to feeling what we're feeling, or not feeling what we, you know, don't want to feel. So we push against that and we resist that. And when we can embrace that and be with that, and a lot of the time it's just allowing ourselves to actually really feel, and just saying that, you know, I'm going to allow myself to really feel angry. We're taught so much that anger is wrong as kids, and so this keeps us in a very low energy state, because on the emotional guidance scale, and anybody that's been following me for a while knows that, you know, I talk a lot about the emotional guidance scale, because down the bottom is grief, it's powerlessness, it's despair, it's unworthiness, it's guilt. And, you know, as we move up, you know, anger's a little bit of the way up, but if we're we get to anger and we make anger wrong, guess what? We bounce straight back to powerlessness and despair and grief. And so we spend a lot of time, and then we get so angry that we're still stuck in powerlessness, that we get back to anger, we make it wrong. And so we bounce from sadness to anger, from sadness to anger, from sadness to anger. And it's really, really unresourceful. So the more we can embrace our anger and know that anger actually gives us energy to take the action that we need in order to move us further and further away from pain. As adults, you know, as humans, we're very much, you know, we will do much more to avoid pain than what we will to get pleasure. So, you know, use that to your advantage in helping you make significant life changes, in helping you embrace, you know, what are these challenges? What is it that I need to learn from this? How do I now need to be moving forward about this situation? And really start to reframe that in a positive perspective, even if it's only one little tiny positive that you can gain from it. And for me, with my mum, that was literally, you know, learning how to love myself. And I thought, gosh, what an amazing gift. And if that experience hadn't happened, you know, I doubt that I would have gone through that. But, you know, several other positives that came from that was I have massive empathy for people that have lost loved ones. I can now connect with people at a deeper level because I've been through that experience. So, and obviously, you know, all of our journeys are very different, and you know, relationship changes and financial changes, all of those can be massive challenges as well. But it's where is the opportunity for growth? Where can I start to change things? What do I need to learn from this? Perhaps, you know, I need to learn how to manage my money better. Perhaps, you know, I truly believe life happens for us, not to us. And it's so important to be able to embrace those challenges and those changes, and be able to really see it for what it is, and be able to really embrace, you know, what are the growth lessons that need to come from this? What needs to change so maybe I don't ever have to experience this again, or perhaps so that I feel more confident within myself, or perhaps so that I can share and help others through this particular situation. So all of those are slightly different perspectives, obviously, that we can take from overcoming any changes or big challenges that we're currently experiencing. But being loving, being kind to you, I truly believe is the number one first step, because quite often I think, you know, we can sometimes take on blame, either blaming ourselves or blaming others. And if you've ever kind of seen that responsibility line, when we're in blame, even if it's like blaming ourselves, it's still really, really unresourceful, and it will be giving our power away to a situation or giving our power away to an event or a circumstance, where when we're taking self-responsibility, and it may not have even been our fault that's, you know, that event has occurred or that's actually happened, but we can still choose to take responsibility. And responsibility is nothing more than our ability to respond. And so when we're taking responsibility for ourselves and our choices moving forward, and it's an ability to respond in a proactive way moving forward, taking in, you know, what I want to create moving forward and how I want to continue changing my life, how I want to be living my life, what I value, and who it is that I choose to be now from this situation or from this event or from this circumstance, or just who I choose to be moving forward. So lots to think about with all of that, obviously, and it really does build so much self-belief, so much confidence, and will help you to find the center of you again. And what I found when I feel fully connected with my internal self, hey Annette, hey Heather, great to have you guys on. When I feel fully connected in my internal center, that is when I feel rock solid. It is when I know without a shadow of a doubt that I'm never given anything more than, you know, anything more than I can handle. I know that I'm stronger than what I believe at the time, and I know that because I've not known in the past how I was going to get through situations, and yet I did, because clearly I'm still here. So, you know, life really does help us build some strong muscles at times in terms of our emotional resilience, in terms of how to overcome adversity, and then of course how to share that with others and how to help others from that space as well, with love and with empathy and with compassion, but obviously, you know, not necessarily doing the work for them as well. And that's been a big lesson for me as well, in just being there in a way that's loving and compassionate, but also knowing that everybody is on their own unique soul journey, everybody's on their own path, and it's all in their own time as well, and that is 100% completely okay. And we can love on everybody that's in, you know, some of those challenging situations, and also coming back to a place of loving ourselves to do what's right for ourselves as well. So I think I've rambled on long enough. I hope that's been truly helpful for you. If you are experiencing big challenges and big changes, if you're not sure how to get back to your internal self, I definitely recommend meditation, or even deep journaling. Journaling always helps me to feel more connected with myself. Or if you're really struggling, you know, definitely reach out to somebody that you trust, you know, perhaps a professional. I'm always here, of course, if you're wanting to run something by me to see if and how I may be able to help you. But definitely reach out to somebody. You know, asking for help is a sign of strength. It's not a sign of weakness. We all go through those times, and I've had many people in my life help me to come back, to find my internal center, to guide me, to be amazing mentors, to be amazing coaches, amazing healers, that have all helped me on my own path. And without them, you know, I certainly wouldn't be sitting here. I wouldn't have learnt the lessons that I've learnt, and I wouldn't have been able to reframe and look at things in the way that I currently do. So, and of course, we're always learning, and there's always great soul evolutions, you know, to move forward. But definitely reach out to somebody if you are having a difficult time with something. You know, I really think that people that are further down the path in a particular area, or with a particular subject, or with a particular change, you know, they can give us shortcuts. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm all up for shortcuts. And it's not that we, you know, don't have to turn up and do the work. We still need to do the work, but at least we can be really specific on what it is that we're actually doing, and know that that particular action step will get us to the result that we want as well, which I think is truly helpful and definitely encouraging when we're going through challenges. So have an amazing rest of your day. Enjoy your Black Friday. Maybe, you know, black cats and ladders and mirrors and all sorts of things. But of course, have an amazing day, and love you, and spread that love out to others, and have an incredible day. Catch you guys later. Bye.